Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Learning Annex. I'm Paula Roberts, known as the English Psychic. What I want to talk to you about this evening is what you can expect from a psychic reading. And I thought about, well, how best to introduce myself. Very, very briefly, I've lived here in New York City for many, many years, and this has been my full-time profession for, I'd say, at least 30 years. Developing many years before that. Started way back in England at the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain as in development classes as actually a medium. Not here to talk about that this evening. I'm here to talk about my work doing psychic readings. And I had an idea, at least I thought it was a good idea. Rather than give you a whole list of credentials, I thought by way of an introduction, I would read something that had been written about me, Psychic New York. Unfortunately, it is out of print, so I don't want to tease you with it, but I thought better to tell you what somebody else has said about me before we come to the points I'm looking forward to making in this lecture for you. So let's start. Paula Roberts, known through her live call-in television show, beg your pardon, as the English Psychic, is a clairvoyant in the formal sense, who has correctly predicted numerous national and international world events. The Tiananmen Square tragedy, the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, the separation of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and many more. Widely acknowledged in the scientific community as a ghost hunter, her skills have been documented in leading journals of psychical research. Her manner is brusque and matter-of-fact, and under no circumstances will she allow questions or interruptions until she gives the green light. Paula is not for the timid, nor for those who do not have the patience to listen. She is succinct, almost to the point of being impersonal. Her sessions begin with a handwriting analysis of both the client and his or her significant other. This is followed by a general tarot reading, which may seem abstract, as she has no wish to know anything about her client. Afterwards, the client may ask specific questions, followed by Paula's clarifications. In spite of her seemingly detached readings, however, she is amazingly accurate about the events in one's past life, present, and her predictions have a habit of turning out to be right on target. Okay, so I think what I wanted to take out of that write-up, which was meant to, I think, not so kindly, portray me as some sort of, I don't know, some kind of halfway to being a monster, but impersonal, not wanting to know anything, and being correct and on target. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here as one's best friend. I am here, when I say here, when I'm dealing with clients doing a reading. I do my work gathering information from other sources. I'm here to the best of my ability to give the client information that they don't have access to themselves. It is not my position, it's not my job, it's not what I'm there for, to tell people necessarily what they wish to hear. Of course, sometimes the information comes through and it's completely thrilling to them, but the aspect of being impersonal, technically, was Jung, was it Freud? Transference. During the time of a reading, I understand that I could be considered one's friend, but that's not really quite what I'm supposed to be doing. My motto on my website is, forewarned is forearmed. But let me go through a few points about readings. What is reasonable to expect? And I must say to begin with, these are my impressions from the work that I've done over many years. I'm never commenting about anybody else's work. What is reasonable to expect from a psychic reading? In my opinion, that the clairvoyant will be able to tell you things about your past, present, and future, including the people around you, that they cannot possibly have known. Now, for example, if people call me to make an appointment and they start trying to tell me about, I'm going to want to know about whatever, as politely as possible, I say immediately, please, please don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't want you to have told me whatever you think is on your mind. And then when you come round, I'm talking about the same thing, because you're going to think, well, I told her that. I am really very, very careful to know nothing about my clients. Then whatever I get from another source. Can you ask questions? Certainly. After, in my particular readings, after I've done the initial spread, then of course the client may ask questions. I want to put in at this point, without making it a very long explanation, when I'm working with clients, I use the vehicle of the tarot. It's a visual tool. One is clairvoyant or not. I've always said, and I firmly believe, it makes no difference which tools are used. The only thing that matters is the information correct? How one accesses it doesn't matter. Can you record a session? If you're dealing with me, I insist it's recorded, absolutely insist. And I've got a reason, I've got actually a reason for everything I do in my work. The client leaves with a recording. They can listen to it or not, of course, that's entirely up to them. However, over the many years that I've been in business, people have told me, oh, I was doing the housework the other night and I listened to one of your tapes from, say, 2 or 3 years ago. I heard something, a little snippet, that I'd never heard before. I give a lot of my informations in what I call one-liners. However, in a reading, as in any discussion, if I'm talking about something that you believe you know about, your mind has drifted off. You're considering what I've said. I've said another 4 things since then. So recording, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely essential. Can you demand names and dates? My philosophy is that demand is not quite the right word to use. I personally don't get names. Doesn't mean to say anybody else does or doesn't. I'm not talking about somebody else. But demanding is not quite as I see a psychic reading. Quite frankly, between you and me, I see a reading as what you're given. Making demands as to what you want to know, other than in specific questions, I don't think that works so well. Can you demand contact? Now, by contact, I mean in a regular client reading. Can you demand to speak to your dear departed whomever? Well, we'll go in that perhaps in another lecture, but you cannot demand contact. Occasionally, certainly, though I must say rarely, but occasionally, people do make an appearance. They don't come on demand. Let me tell you a little story, and this fills into something else. And I do have the client's permission expressly to tell you this little story. I was doing a reading with, and it's relevant to what I'm about to say, a very lovely German woman that I know. She's blonde and blue-eyed. Bear with me, this is relevant. And we're talking about whatever is happening in her professional life. And I'm dealing with a client right in front of me. Then, hard to describe, but in my mind's eye, over here, I'm seeing an older gentleman. Strong impression of being a grandfather. But what I was most seeing is the very brilliant electric blue eyes, as had my client. Now, in my work, I'll make the point in just a second, I never edit what I see. Because what might be to me, why bother to mention that? Again, I go back to the point, blonde, blue-eyed German lady, grandfather, I think it's a grandfather, bright blue eyes, why mention it? I got a lot of other details about where he was, but enough to make it clear to the lady that this was her grandfather. And I noticed she was in tears. So I sort of said, well, asked her why she was particularly upset. Well, the whole reason she was upset is only she and that grandfather had the same color bright blue eyes. If I had thought about and tried to edit what I wanted to tell her, why would I have said somebody had the same color eyes as she did? It was the crux of the reading. But can you, in my regular client readings, demand contact, or in fact in any other format? Not really. A favorite of mine, a favorite. Can you ask what percentage of accuracy one has? Oh, I love that question. I'll tell you why I love that question. In fact, I don't love the question at all. But a lot of people, when making inquiries, ask, what percentage of accuracy do you have? And let me tell you about this, and I swear you'll never ask anybody that ever again. Now, as I said, in my sessions, the client leaves with a recording. Now, unless every single client I had ever worked with transcribed everything I said and then over a period of time clicked it, made a tick, right or wrong, and got back to me, how very arduous, how can I possibly know how accurate I am or not? It sounds like a clever question, what percentage of accuracy? But I think, I'm sure now you'll see my point, one cannot possibly know that. Can you demand your money back if you don't like the information? No, hardly. The point of a reading very often is the past and the present is interesting to the client because it adds validity and weight to the ability of the reader. However, future is also given, which may or may not be something that you like the sound of. If you don't like the sound of it, can you have your money back? No. You need patience to wait and see what transpires. Many times things are told which seem to be amazing, extraordinary, bizarre, and so on and so on. They come to pass. That is the point of a reading, to give information over and above what you know yourself. Also, another point. A lot of times, particularly in a first reading, as far as the past and the present, clients tell me that I have confirmed something to them that they had suspected. The point being, they know very, very well that I don't know them. So again, it adds weight to a decision they feel they might need to take. Confirmation. Now, realistic. I believe strongly that one goes into a reading, hopefully with a mixture of both being open-minded and realistic. Are you necessarily going to be the next world's superstar? Maybe you are, but not so many people are. Another little point I like to make is that we're talking about me. In my readings, I sometimes suspect, not that anybody said this to me, but I sometimes suspect that people think that if they come to me, pay good money, I've got my little wand and fairy dust, and I just have to sprinkle it around and their lives are going to be magnificent, wonderful, and glorious. Well, I don't make the future happen for you. At best, I see what your future is going to be and give you pointers, help, if you wish to take it, in how best to deal with what is coming towards you. That, I believe, is the absolute essence of a reading. So, I very, very, very much hope my information has been of some help to you, whether you're somebody who's never had a reading, or you're considering a reading, or you already take readings. It's not so often that I get the opportunity to explain my philosophies of how best to use a reading, and that's very much what I've tried to do this evening. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you'd like to get hold of me to talk about my readings or anything else, or to learn a little bit more about me, my website is quite simply my name, paularoberts.org. Again, all one word, paularoberts.org. So that's all the time we've got this evening. I thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you, and bye-bye.